Hey guys, it's Paul, and we are here to talk about Disney World trip planning again today. We're moving past dining today, and we're moving on to probably the biggest reason why everybody visits Disney World, at least why we started going, and that's the rides. So before we dive into that, let's talk about Disney's approach to rides versus other theme parks. Disney World is very adamant about that they don't have rides, they have attractions. So you may be wondering what in the world the difference is. Having had the opportunity to go to Orlando a couple times and go to Universal Studios, they focus mainly on, hey, we've got these really, really big thrill rides. Disney is much more about the experience of being inside the parks. The rides are just one more thing to do inside the parks with your friends and your family and with others who love Disney. But they're really not the focus of the parks per se, or they don't want them to be, which is why over the past few years Disney has increased more and more activity kind of things to do. And while they still develop new rides or attractions, I'm gonna have to call them attractions, I guess. Actually, I don't work for Disney, I can call them rides if I want. While they work to develop more and more attractions, other theme parks outpace them in terms of ride development. So, so with that said, let's kind of dive in and talk about rides and things that you're going to do when you're at Disney World. First and foremost, Fastpasses. Great system that Disney has. That kind of allows you, if you're not familiar with what a Fastpass is, it allows you to basically make a reservation to go to one of the attractions. Not every attraction has Fastpass options, but almost all the popular ones do. This allows you to go into a different queue to ride that ride, which is called the Fastpass queue, provided you go during your window of time, which is going to be a 1-hour window. So if you make a Fastpass for, let's say, noon for Pirates of the Caribbean, you can go get in the Fastpass queue sometime between noon and 1 p.m. After 1 p.m., your Fastpass is going to expire and you're just going to have to go in the regular queue. Disney used to be really good about extending the Fastpass time, but now they've gotten much stricter about it because there was a lot of abuse. If you miss your Fastpass window, they're going to make you get in the regular queue. So just be aware of that. So, if you're in line for, let's say, a Dole Whip, which is a great snack, and that line's long, but you've got a Fastpass about to expire, you're going to have to make the choice. What's more important, the Fastpass or the Dole Whip? Not a choice anybody wants to make, but Shannon's behind the camera again, so that's why she's laughing. That's not a choice anybody wants to make, but it's a choice you're going to have to make. What's more important? Priorities, people. So, okay, that's the Fastpasses. The other thing with Fastpasses, we keep going back to if you're staying on Disney property or not. That's one of the advantages of staying on Disney property. You can book Fastpasses for your trip starting 60 days from when you arrive, and that goes 60 days plus 10, just the same way the dining would. If you're not staying on Disney's property, but you have planned a trip to come, you can book your Fastpasses 30 days in advance. Obviously, you're going to be taking what's left over from people who are staying on Disney property. So for some of the larger attractions, you may or may not get a Fastpass for the day you want, or you may be getting a time that doesn't work for you. The last thing we're going to talk about before we dive into the rides for the parks and Shannon and my favorite rides, we're going to talk about the single rider line. This is available currently, that I know of, for 3 attractions, but they're major attractions. They're available for Test Track at Epcot. They're available for the Rock and Roller Coaster at Hollywood Studios and Expedition Everest at Animal Kingdom. I have notes down here just so you know. Single rider line is a great option if you don't mind riding the ride by yourself or in a car with like another family. So for Test Track is a great ride at Epcot. I think the cars seat 6 people. So obviously, with a family of 4 might want to ride in the same car. That's going to leave 2 extra seats. If they have a party of 2, they'll fill it, or they might grab 2 single riders and fill it. So it just gives you a really good option to kind of bypass a really long line if you don't mind jumping in with another family. Of course, you'll be in their family pictures and everything else that the ride takes, but hey, that's just life.
And so Casey, our youngest, he loves riding Test Track, and all the boys always go single rider line. So I always get a million pictures of Casey in cars with a bunch of different families. I should make a whole collage of just Casey with all his different families.
You should. I think Casey rode Expedition Everest like 15 times. Last time we were there. And so like we hung around Expedition Everest for about an hour and a half last time we were there. And just to give you the idea of what the benefit of single rider, I rode Expedition Everest like 7 or 8 times. And then Casey rode an additional 7 or 8 times. And that was in the course of an hour and a half. So with single rider, you basically, during a not peak time at Disney, were able to get off the ride, go through the obligatory gift shop, go back and get in the single rider line, and within 5 minutes be back on the ride, and having that experience all over again. So, okay, we've talked about single rider, we've talked about Fastpass, we've talked about Disney's philosophy on rides versus attractions. With the rides versus attractions, I forgot to mention, so other theme parks like Six Flags and Universal, they're going to have much larger thrill rides. They're going to be like super scary. I don't know of any that Disney has that are like really, really scary. There's a couple that I'm scared of, which we'll get to. But overall, they're not all that scary. So, you kind of have to look at the ride description, determine what's going to be best for your family. Some younger kids may or may not like everything. Some people that have fear of heights may or may not like certain rides. So take a look at the descriptions of the rides and determine what you like. All right, let's start with Magic Kingdom. We're going to kind of just talk about a couple rides that Fastpasses really, really make sense for, and then I'm going to give you a good tip as far as rides that Fastpass doesn't make sense for. So, first and foremost, depending on what touring plan you want to use for Magic Kingdom, and if you don't know what a touring plan is, Google that. There's a lot of great sites that talk about those things. If you're with younger kids or you really want to do the rides that are in Fantasyland, which is right behind Cinderella's Castle, just so you know, you're going to want to go there first thing in the morning. Fantasyland fills up throughout the day, and it gets to be unbearably crowded by midday, even on non-peak times of Disney World. So you want to do your Fantasyland rides early in the morning or late at night. During parade times are also pretty good, or during lunch times, they're okay. The problem with the Fantasyland rides is a lot of them don't have very much capacity per ride. So what that means is, like, let's say the Dumbo Elephants. The Dumbo Elephants, 4 people can fit in an elephant. And I think there's like 12 elephants. So do the math, it's like 48 people per ride. Well, those people have to, the people who were riding the ride have to get out of the ride. The new people have to get in. Everybody's got to get buckled up. There's got to be a safety check. And then the ride happens. And then that whole process repeats over again. It's just, it makes for a very slow moving ride. So those are rides that you want to get to early in the morning. The only ride that I recommend personally for Fastpass, if you're going with older kids who like the thrill rides, would be Peter Pan's Flight. I think that's a great ride, and that's just one of those ever popular rides that everybody wants to ride. It's a slow line, so Fastpass is awesome for Peter Pan's Flight, if you don't go there first thing in the morning and get on it. All right, next up we're going to talk about the big thrill rides at Magic Kingdom. We have the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. That's probably the newest ride that we have gotten to experience at Magic Kingdom, and it is an awesome ride. I highly recommend Fastpasses for that. That's a very, very smooth roller coaster. There's not a whole lot of height involved in it, so people who are afraid of heights probably are not going to have a big problem with that ride. It does go very fast, but like I said, it's very, very smooth, and there's not the jarring action usually associated with a roller coaster. So that's just a great ride, and it's really pretty too.
And we have a member of our family who does not like thrill rides or roller coasters at all, and he loves that ride, that roller coaster. So
yes, yeah, that's right. So that's the Dwarves Mine Train. So you brought up the other member of our family who doesn't like heights. Big Thunder Railroad is the other one. That's a fast-paced ride, not quite as smooth as the Mine Train, but a great ride, a lot of fun. There's Space Mountain, which is very jarring. That's an older roller coaster. It's indoors. It has a really neat perspective as far as the ride goes. I really like it. I enjoy it. It's a slow-moving line. So that would be a great Fast Pass if you like Space Mountain. Splash Mountain is also just a ton of fun. Splash Mountain is going to be under refurbishment when we go to Disney this time, so we're not going to get to ride that. So that's another thing. Depending on what time of year you want to travel, look at what rides might be under refurbishment or, you know, under repair or something. Because if there's a ride that you absolutely have to ride while you're at Disney, that may affect your plans.
And you can Google that. Disney posts all that like a year out.
Yeah. All right. 3 rides I personally do not recommend you use a Fastpass for at Disney World if you're going not during a peak time. So again, not during a peak time, I would not use a Fastpass for these 3 rides unless these are must rides for you. That's Haunted Mansion, Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin, and the Pirates of the Caribbean. The reason for that is because those rides all have a tremendous amount of capacity. They can move long lines through them in a relatively quick manner because of the way that they load and unload. So I just wanted to kind of give you that tip. You may want to skip Fast Passes for those rides. Because I personally, I think you can use a Fast Pass for something else.
And those are all family favorites of ours. He's not saying that because they're not good rides or something. We love those rides. We love those rides. We ride all those rides multiple times. It's just they are able to process through the crowd a lot quicker on those rides than on other rides. So we would rather use our Fast Passes on the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, as an example. So that's just a tip for you. Let's see, I feel like there's another one. Oh yeah, okay, favorite rides. Basically all the rides we've mentioned are family favorites of ours, as well as the Winnie the Pooh, the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which is in Fantasyland. We like that because we like Winnie the Pooh. And one that I really like, but has kind of gotten old for the rest of the family, is I love the Jungle Cruise. I just love the Jungle Cruise. What cast member you get on there, because the cast member takes you on a cruise in the jungle, and they tell these stories, and it's the same jokes with every cast member, but they all deliver them differently. And so the cast member that you get can make or break that ride, but I've had really good experiences on it, and I just like the ride. So so that's one that's fun to do, and it's right by the Dole Whip stand. So another good tip for you. Okay, let's talk about Animal Kingdom. Magic Kingdom had the most rides that we needed to talk about, so the rest will go a lot quicker. Animal Kingdom has 3 rides that, in my opinion, are Fast Pass good rides. Oh no, I'm sorry, there's 4. So there's Expedition Everest. We've already talked about that. Great roller coaster, very smooth, pretty intense though. Goes fast, does go up really high. Even though our family member who doesn't like heights that much, they ride it every time we've gone. They've ridden it and they like it. It's just they only ride it a couple times. It does go backwards. It does
go backwards. It's probably the most intense ride on Disney's property, in my opinion.
And it's fun.
And it's a lot of fun. So Expedition Everest, that's great. If you want to ride as a family, definitely get Fast Passes for that. Kali River Rapids, that's another one that I would recommend getting Fast Passes for. We have ridden that a couple times. It's not our favorite water ride, but if you like water rides, if you want to experience that, that's another good one to get Fast Passes for.
What about the safari?
The Kilimanjaro Safari, that's one of our favorite rides, but I've kind of given you guys let me give you a tip for the safari. Number 1, that should be your first ride of the day at Animal Kingdom if you go to Animal Kingdom in the morning. There's 2 reasons for that. Number 1, it is the farthest ride into the park, meaning it's the farthest walk from the main gate to that ride. It's a ride that a lot of people don't get to till later in the day.
Most people give up before they reach it?
Yeah. So going early gets you on the ride before other people. The other thing is, early in the morning, the animals are much more active. You know, it's Florida, it gets hot. A lot of the animals go find shade and rest during the day, so they're not out and moving about. Disney has engineered the park, the safari part of the park, in a great way to really showcase the animals and bring them out to you, but during the heat of the day, that just doesn't work all the time. During the morning, a lot of the animals are out and active, and we've always seen a lot of animals compared to other people we know who have gone later in the day. So if you can get on that ride first, you know, I think Animal Kingdom opens at 9 a.m. every day. So if you can be on that ride by like 10 a.m., you're probably going to see a lot more animals than if you go there, say, at 1 or 2, you know, in the afternoon. So that's personally, the safari also has a really large capacity. So the line kind of moves through. I don't think it's something that I would use as a fast pass unless it was something that was
really important for me to get on that particular ride. Shannon, it's probably her favorite ride in Animal Kingdom, so she probably would use a Fastpass for that. All right, and then we have not ridden these rides, but right now it's crazy, the Pandora area of the park. So there's the 2 Avatar rides. There's the, what is it called? The Avatar Flight of Passage, and there's the Na'vi, I think I'm pronouncing that right, River ride. We made fast passes for the river ride. We did not make fast passes for the Flight of Passage for our upcoming trip. That may turn out to be a mistake, but that's what we're going with. That's what we're trying. We actually have 2 fast passes for our trip for the Na'vi River ride, so we're hoping that we like that. So I think that's going to do it for Animal Kingdom, our favorite rides. One ride that I didn't talk about as far as fast passes was Dinosaur. That's a very intense ride for younger kids. I'm just going to say, they have refurbished it. It's not nearly as intense as it used to be. We have great memories of
how terrifying it was.
But that's a really neat ride. It's very intense. It does take place in the dark. It's very loud. So just letting you know, for people who are sensitive to those things, there's a lot of flashing lights also. So just to kind of give you a heads up on that. But it's a ride that is well worth riding. It's just not something I'd use a fast pass on over Expedition Everest or the Avatar rides. All right, Hollywood Studio. There's one huge ride that you absolutely have to get fast passes for, and that's Toy Story Mania. Toy Story Mania should also be the first ride that you go to when the rope drops at Hollywood Studios. That's a ride you are going to want to ride again and again and again. It is so much fun. So what we do is we make fast passes for the first ride in the morning, and then we rush over there and we get in the regular queue and ride the ride just normally as many times as we can right before our fast pass is going to expire, and then we go get the fast pass line. So we try and ride Toy Story Mania 3 or 4 times in a given day while we're at Hollywood Studios. During non-peak times, that's easily doable. During peak times, probably once or twice is all you're going to get, because that's a ride that gets 2 and 3 hour wait times. It's an amazing ride. It's just an amazing experience, but I don't know if I could wait multiple times 2 or 3 hours. I just don't think I could do it. There's a few other rides at Hollywood Studios which are awesome. Hollywood Studios is undergoing some changes right now, so some of our favorite rides are gone, like the Great Movie Ride.
But new ones are coming.
Tower of Terror. That's the ride that scares me, but I ride every time I go to Disney. I don't scream like a little girl, but I feel like a little girl. And usually I get sat next to a little girl on that ride, because I'm
who's braver than you?
Yeah, because I'm the only person that rides that ride, and it's like I just ride it to prove to myself that I'm not scared of it and I can do it. And I always get there, and there's like handles that you could hold on to on the side, because it's a broken elevator is what it is that you're sitting in. The elevator bounces up and down really high, and it like drops really far in the dark. It just scares me. And so I want something to hold on to. But I always get sat next to a little girl. I'm like, oh, okay, well, she's going to hold on to it. So I want to give it up. The last time I went to ride it, the little girl beside me, like, she had her hands up, like, it's like, yeah, like, hey, I'm gonna do this. And as soon as we dropped, she grabbed that handle. I thought I was going to have the handle that time, but no. She took it away from me. And I had to ride, my hands in my lap. Just, praying.
Maybe you shouldn't ride the ride.
No, I love riding the ride.
So we have 2 people in our house afraid of elevators, and the third does not like droppy rides. So Paul is the only one that goes on
I ride that
ride.
by myself. I wish that ride had a single rider line. It'd be perfect for me, but no go. Another fun thing with that ride is actually going through just the waiting queue of that ride is fun because it's really cool looking inside of there. And then you can leave the attraction before you have to ride the ride. But whoever designed it has a really sick sense of humor, because the way you leave the attraction is through an elevator.
Yeah, and all the people that... We went through it once, and I call it the chicken line.
Yeah.
The chicken out line. All the people that helped you out of the attraction still were like all somber and creepy and all dressed in the, attire of the ride. And I mean, they were full in character. And I'm like, I just want to leave.
Yeah.
Just let me leave.
Yep. Okay, so moving on, Rock and Roller Coaster, that has a single rider line. That's another one that Casey and I just go ride multiple times, single rider. You definitely need a fast pass for that. That's a ride that gets a long queue. It's very popular. It's an indoor tubular steel roller coaster. It has loops, goes upside down. Very intense ride, but also really cool. Really fun ride. The other ride at Hollywood Studios that we don't get fast passes for is, what's it called?
Star Tours.
Star Tours, that's right. So that's over in Star Wars Land. Because we go at non-peak times of the year, we don't have to get fast passes for it. They have a good capacity there, but during peak times or during Star Wars celebrations, you are definitely going to want fast passes for that line if you're a Star Wars fan and have to ride it. That is a motion, like where you watch a movie, but like the room moves around, motion theater. So that's what that is, and they have multiple different variances of the tour. So you can ride it multiple times, and it's going to be a different experience. So that's kind of fun. All right, last but not least, we have Epcot. There's only a few in Epcot. We've already talked about Test Track, which has the single rider line. Great to take advantage of that. Also, a tip for that is if you want to go faster in the line, skip the building a car process. If you've already done that once and you don't really care about it, skip that and you can move through the line a lot quicker. If you have kids that want to do that, obviously spend the time, do that, have the fun with it. But if you don't need to do it, skip it. There's two major rides other than Test Track at Epcot. And these are the two big ones. There's Soarin' and there is Frozen Ever After. Frozen Ever After, in my opinion, is the one to use the Fast Pass on, because Epcot, they're only going to let you use one Fast Pass on one of those three rides. You can only choose one of those three per day. So in my opinion, Frozen is the one to do because it has the least capacity, it has the longest line. You may not get to ride the ride if you don't have a Fast Pass, even during non-peak times, because the last time that we went was a non-peak time and the wait time was like 3 to 4 hours. They just cannot get very many people through that ride very quickly. The Fast Pass basically maxes them out. So take advantage of the Fast Pass for Frozen Ever After. But Soarin' is another family favorite of ours, as well as I've already talked about Test Track. Really at Epcot, there's no other ride experiences that I think you need to use a Fast Pass for. I always like living with the land, just because I like seeing the greenhouse. But that's a ride that may be a bit slow for younger kids that are expecting a thrill. There's no waterfall drop or anything. It's just you're just going through a greenhouse and looking at vegetables getting grown, which is cool. I like it. I think it's fun. So I think that's it. I think, boy, we cruised all through Disney World rides. Took about 20 minutes, but we got there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope there was some good, helpful tips for you. I want you guys to leave a comment. What is your favorite ride at Disney World, or what would you like to go on the most? Maybe you have or haven't been on it. Leave those comments down below. If you have any specific questions about rides, please leave those. We will be doing a question and answer video at the end of the Disney planning series, and we will answer as many questions as we possibly can, or all of them if there's enough. And I think that's going to do it for today. We'll see you guys later.